afternoon to all our listeners and viewers of the NDC Heartbeat podcast. We're happy to have all of you on this afternoon, those who are on VFM, Vibes FM, Spice Capital Radio, and Talk Grenada. But also, we would continue to have a ride-along out of Brooklyn, New York, and Labby 100.5 FM out of Grenville. Happy to have you on, and looking forward for others to join. So, we will take just a short break and we'll be back to introduce our guests. So stay with us. Back in a moment.
Calling all Grenadians and friends of Grenada in Ontario and beyond. A fire in the village of Chantimel displaced 17 persons recently. So the Grenada Disaster Preparedness Toronto, in association with other Grenadian organizations in Canada and under the auspices of the Consulate General of Grenada, are coming forward for a worthy cause with a Diaspora brunch. It's happening Sunday, April 28th from 10 a.m. at the JCA Center, 995 Arrow Road, North York. And it comes with all the goodies: bake, saltfish, Tanya log, cocoa tea, Morby, you name it, will be on sale. Entry is absolutely free, but we are kindly requesting a donation of $20 via tickets at the door, collection boxes at the venue, and elsewhere. Any amount. Also, e-transfer for donors needing tax credit. Send to ghaf.toronto@gmail.com. For more info, call Unison at 416-856-3663. Wayne at 416-451-8605. Mansfield at 519-500-5716. Or the Consulate at 416-595-1343. Sunday, April 28th. It's for a worthy cause.
Smile, Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique are coming to Victoria on Sunday the 21st of April through to Tuesday the 23rd of April 2024, and will be held in the new venue, which is Victoria Resource Library. Smile, GCP Dental. They're on a mission and they're providing you with the following services: dental screening and cleaning, fillings and extractions, dental x-rays and massage therapy, preventative oral health education, blood glucose screenings, and more. They will be at the Victoria Resource Library from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's from Sunday the 21st of April to Tuesday the 23rd of April 2024. And from Wednesday the 24th to Friday the 26th of April, they will be in Mount Toots Community Centre. Again, the times are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and the services are free. See you there.
Welcome back to all our listeners and viewers of the NDC Heartbeat podcast. We especially want to welcome all those who are on the NDC Facebook platform, and indeed we're also on YouTube. And welcome to all those of you who are on Ride Along out of Brooklyn, New York, and 100.5 FM out of Grenville, Labby FM. Of course, we're not going to forget those who are on Vibes FM, VFM, Spice Capital Radio, and Talk Grenada. So, welcome to another beautiful Sunday afternoon episode on the Heartbeat. And we're happy to welcome in studio the Honorable Joseph Andel. He is the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Trade, and Export Development. Welcome to Heartbeat once again. Pleasure to have you.
Good afternoon, Terry. Good afternoon to all of your wonderful listeners and viewers. And as usual, it's a pleasure to be here with you and the audience today.
Fantastic. You have journeyed a far distance all the way out of St. Patrick, so we're happy to have you down here.
Well, it may sound far, but the distance is the same in both directions. For you people in St. George's, always say way up in St. S, but that's a trip that we make almost on a daily basis.
Yeah,
so you all have to start going up north more frequently, because we have some really beautiful treasures up there that probably most people down south are not aware of.
That is quite true, and it is improving. It's getting better and better. So maybe, I don't know, maybe in the near future when we have a railroad or a train track, let's say overlooking the beautiful Caribbean seas, trucking all the way up to St. Patrick on to Grenville, 15-minute ride, then you will get people moving. But that's into the future.
Futuristic indeed.
It's futuristic,
But
absolutely.
doable with time.
Well, that has always been my dream, that we'll see a train track that goes right around the island with intermediate stops in various villages. That will happen before I pass on.
Yeah, man. You just have to...
Mind you, I ain't going noise. We're talking 150.
No. I mean, Terry, you're spring chicken still, man.
Absolutely. Better believe it.
Yes.
Well, you had a recent historic visit. You were part of the delegation, which was led by Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell. And there were a lot of things accomplished in Cuba. The signing of a number of MOUs, re-establishing and re-strengthening the ties with the Republic of Cuba. And from all indications, you had really quite a fantastic visit to Cuba. And we want to just take this opportunity for you to just share with us a little bit more of some of the in-depth details into the accomplishments which Prime Minister and his delegation had in Cuba, and your overall view of Cuba.
Okay, so I will start by reminding us that the visit was the first official visit of Prime Minister Mitchell to Cuba. He had been there before, I think once on a ALBA summit, another time for a G77 plus China meeting.
Right.
But those were multilateral meetings. So this was the first time that the trip was one dedicated specifically to Cuba-Grenada relations. And we timed it to coincide with the 45th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between our two countries, which occurred on April 14th, 1979, just a month and a day following the revolution of 1979. The delegation comprised of Prime Minister, Minister Lennox Andrews, who is responsible for agriculture, lands, marine resources, cooperatives, planning, and economic development. I hope I didn't leave out.
He probably has the biggest portfolio in the cabinet.
I hope I did not leave out any part of it. Minister Philip Telesford, Minister of Health, was also part of the party. Minister David Andrew, responsible for education, and myself.
Right.
So the trip, I would characterize it as an extremely successful one. It reaffirmed the bonds of friendship and fraternity between the governments and peoples of Cuba and Grenada. The MOUs that you made a reference to covered cooperation in the following areas: climate and the environment, fisheries and general agriculture, education, and we still have pending the memorandum on health, which is at this point probably the single biggest area of collaboration between the two countries. There's one or two little things that still need to be ironed out, and so technical teams from both countries are working on them so that in the not too distant future we'll be at a position where everything is agreeable and the signing can then take place. Now, we had some amazing visits to a number of installations and places in Cuba. One of the most heartwarming ones was a visit that we paid to the Morris Bishop School for Special Education.
Oh.
Yep. It's a relatively small school in terms of numbers of children, but the physical facility is quite impressive. And they have a wide array, or staff with a wide array of specialties to help to get the children up to a standard where they can be reintegrated into the mainstream schooling system. So they diagnose them early, and once it is recognized that they may have certain deficiencies, be they
Right.
cognitive or otherwise, with the consent of the parents,
Right.
they will be channeled to those schools.
Ah,
And the objective is to give them individualized, specialized attention so that they can get to a point where they can go back into the regular school system
right.
and be treated as normal, regular kids.
Any collaboration with the School for Special Education here in Grenada?
Not that I'm aware of, but there was a really good gesture that was initiated by our ambassador in Havana, Excellency Glenn Noel, in terms of procuring some materials and equipment for the school to enhance its operations.
Oh,
Yep. So we were able to make that handover during our visit. The
Wonderful.
kids, teachers, the ancillary staff, everybody was super excited
yeah.
to receive us. I mean, the hospitality was just great.
yes.
Yeah. Yep. And they
Cuban
have
hospitality is great.
yep.
Yes.
And they have quite a lot that we can learn from in terms of the way they deal with special education. I know that here there is subtle stigmatization
Yes.
about special education. What we were able to see in Cuba was something quite different. Yep, the children were treated just as any other child would be treated.
Equally so.
Yep, and yep. So I think that there are things there that we can learn in terms of
Fantastic.
exchanging ideas about our respective experiences and so on. The question of scholarships and seeking scholarships that are more in line with our developmental needs,
Right.
more in line with what the job market requires.
Very
In the case of health, although we haven't yet finalized the memorandum, but looking at specialty areas of specialization within the various aspects of the medical field.
Right.
Because remember, we're talking about in a few years' time being able to have our own teaching hospital. And getting the building is one thing, but ensuring that it is adequately staffed and equipped is even as crucial, if not more so.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. And just for general information, we are pursuing those scholarship opportunities in the medical field, not just with Cuba, but with a number of our bilateral partners.
Okay.
Yep, and soon we will be in a position to announce to the public the types of scholarships that are available in different countries. So stay tuned.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
right.
It is always felt that foreign affairs really, people don't see what foreign affairs is doing, but foreign affairs represents the embryo of almost all developments.
Yeah, you see, foreign affairs is not an implementing ministry.
Yep.
We go out there, we establish the ties, or we follow up on them. We connect potential investors. We connect people and governments, institutions that wish to collaborate with us
Right.
to the relevant ministry or department, and they take it from there. But if we do not make the initial contact, then anything that happens will be purely by accident.
Right.
So Foreign Affairs is the entity that is dedicated towards going out there and seeking those opportunities that our country will benefit from. Yeah.
So foreign affairs lays the egg and you pass it on to others so the hatching process can take place.
Yes. Indeed.
All right.
Yeah, indeed, right?
Continue, Minister.
Yeah. So there was also a MOU signed on climate and the environment, dealing again with exchange of information, best practices, continuous dialogues,
Right.
advising each other based on whatever type of experiences we may have had with a particular phenomenon and so on. Agriculture, aquaculture, fisheries. that to me was is an extremely exciting one, filled with rich potential. It covers collaboration in, for example, plant pathology, which is very important because the whole question of diseases, pests, and so on, the prevention and management of them, that is very important. Cuba has a rich history in that area. We also will be looking at techniques for preserving local seed and plant stocks, indigenous ones.
Right.
This is very, very important because we talk all the time about food and nutrition security.
Yep.
But if we continue along the road of being totally dependent on imported planting material, then we are setting up ourselves for a massive headache down the road. We don't have to look too far back to remember, for example, the COVID-19 pandemic, when the whole world was shut down, shipping, air transportation, everything ground to a halt. And to quite a large extent, people were left to fend for themselves in terms of at a country level.
Yep.
So it is quite important that we take food and nutrition security seriously.
Absolutely.
And so we'll be collaborating with the Cubans in terms of techniques for preserving our seed banks, or establishing our seed banks, or indigenous plant stock,
Right.
and so on. Horticulture is another area
Yep.
that there is going to be some collaboration on.
Great.
And that can be a very big part of agriculture production in Grenada, because traditionally when we think about agriculture, we think about corn, peas, cabbage, and so on. But cut flowers is a big industry in many countries.
Oh, yes.
And we know of Grenada's exploits at the Chelsea Flower Show.
Absolutely.
And I think we have to build on that and depend not only upon portraying it outside, but making it a viable internal industry that can provide employment for many of our people who may wish to get into the agricultural field, but not in the traditional sectors of it. Yeah.
All right. Tell us about the possibility of having a national flower garden so that locals and foreigners alike can visit in the future.
Yeah, this is something, in fact, that at cabinet level we have been discussing in recent times. And it's a question, I think, of identifying the ideal spot or spots, putting the necessary infrastructure in place, ensuring that you have people with the right skills, with the expertise to get it off the ground and to keep it running. So it's a conversation that has begun, and I think that once we pursue it vigorously, it will be something, or it can be something, that should evolve from dream to reality within a reasonable period of time.
Yeah.
If you notice, Terry, almost every country in the world, you'll find a botanical garden.
Of course.
And it is really unfortunate that we no longer have a national botanical garden. We know that there are some individuals who are trying, who have their own little private thing, and that's good, that's commendable. But at a national level, we need to give some serious thought to reestablishing our botanical garden.
And this can be a major tourist attraction. I mean, imagine Grenada has won gold 16 times and counting. And we have never been able to establish a national flower garden to attract the said people who go to these flower shows annually at Chelsea in London.
Yes, and
I'm glad that something is now being done about it.
Yeah, while it is commendable that we have been doing so well in that international show, I think in the same way that we talk about our spices or cocoa and so on, we have to go beyond just the primary stage.
Right.
And get into value added at the local level.
Absolutely, because the export of flowers out of Holland, that is their main export. 747s fly flowers from Holland into the United States, Canada. This could be a major, major, major agriculture industry.
Yes, and we talk about youth shying away from agriculture, so we have to start looking at these types of ventures.
Absolutely.
That will probably be more likely to attract them than riding a fork all day or breaking your back with a hoe or something like that. Yeah,
absolutely.
Good.
Diversify.
Yeah.
But anyhow, continue with your presentation.
Good. So, aquaculture, fisheries. We signed an MOU that will, once implemented, result in our being able to do fish farming internally and to produce shrimp also.
You laugh. Why?
Because I love shrimp.
Or is it that you remembered something?
Let's just say I love.
You love shrimp.
I love
okay,
shrimp.
we leave it at that.
Yep. Okay. So again, the necessary technical work will have to be done, and infrastructural work will have to be done. The proper training of our local people, and once we get that off the ground, then that is something again that Grenada should benefit from quite a lot. We got a tour of a fish plant, a fish farm, and we were able to witness the process at the different stages. The eggs, the hatching of the eggs, the spawning of the fingerlings, that's the baby fish, and so on. Then they're transferred to bigger ponds until they get to the stage where several months later, in some cases a year later, 16, 18 months later, they can be harvested.
They're ready for your table.
Ready for the table, yeah. So this is an area that I think we're going to pursue aggressively to enhance our whole thrust towards sustainability in terms of food production.
Yes.
And
good.
Yeah. So, as I mentioned before, the health MOU is still pending, but we expect that there will be some movement on that very soon as the technical teams engage each other over the coming days and weeks.
All right. On the subject of health, I think what we'll do, we'll just take a very short break and we'll go back to that health promotion, the dental health services, which is taking place tomorrow and a couple of days during this week out in St. Mark. So let's just give the public a reminder of this opportunity. Back with you in a moment.
Smile, Grenada, Carriacou and Petit Martinique are coming to Victoria on Sunday the 21st of April through to Tuesday the 23rd of April 2024 and will be held in the new venue, which is Victoria Resource Library. Smile, GCP Dental. They're on a mission and they're providing you with the following services: dental screening and cleaning, fillings and extractions, dental x-rays and massage therapy, preventative oral health education, blood glucose screenings and more. They will be at the Victoria Resource Library from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's from Sunday the 21st of April to Tuesday the 23rd of April 2024. And from Wednesday the 24th to Friday the 26th of April, they will be in Mount Toot Community Centre. Again, the times are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and the services are free. See you there.
Welcome back to the NDC Heartbeat episode for today. And in studio is the Honorable Joseph Handel, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Trade and Export Development. And we're talking about the accomplishments on the historic visit made by Prime Minister and his delegation to Cuba only just about a week ago.
Yep.
Yes. So, Minister, any rounding up thoughts on the Cuba visit?
Yes. So another very important tour that we undertook was to a biotech plant. And Cuba has developed quite a bit of proficiency in the biotech industry.
Okay.
And in spite of the challenges that they face, they continue to be among the world leaders in that field. Something of great interest is a drug that has been developed by Cuban scientists that significantly reduces the risk of amputation.
Wow.
As you know, this is a major problem here in Grenada. I mean, you would believe that the whole country is a minefield when you see the number of people of all ages with one or in some cases both legs. My dad had a leg amputated about 5 years ago, although he's still alive and kicking.
Oh, well.
Yes.
Good for him.
Right. So we were able to see demonstrations and so on. And apparently within 6 to 8 weeks of starting to take that drug, positive results can be seen, where ulcers that were once thought to be incurable were able to heal up. And so many people have been spared.
Wow.
The surgeon's knife.
I mean, I'm almost tempted to ask, when is this drug going to
So
be
I think
available?
it's called Herboprat P. That's the name of the drug. I hope I said it right the first time, and
Herbopac Pre.
Not pack, prop or prep, something like that.
All right. Okay.
Yep. Okay. So I think we will be given a quantity of it on a trial basis.
Right.
I mean, not that it has not been. It has gone through all of the types of clinical trials and so on that are, internationally recognized.
Right.
But I believe that we will be given some, so that people who are at imminent risk of losing their leg or part of it might be given an opportunity to take that drug and hopefully reverse the problems that they're encountering and save their leg,
That's miraculous.
St. Vincent has already been trying it for over a year, I believe. Because that was something that was made available at the last Cuba CARICOM summit in Barbados sometime in late 2022 or early 2023.
Wow.
And it is already in use in about 26 countries, with others waiting to get on board. So we look forward to that. Yeah. Then there was some meetings, dialogues between Prime Minister Mitchell and Cuban President Miguel Diaz. We also had a meeting between our ministerial team and the Cuban Prime Minister and a team that he led. And on our final day, we made a trip to the famous Santiago de Cuba.
Santiago de Cuba.
The Cubans boast always that Santiago is the most Caribbean of all of their provinces and cities. And we did a tour of Caribbean House, which is a house, a building or place, an institution dedicated towards preserving Caribbean culture in Cuba. And there we met the son of a gentleman who did a bust of Maurice Bishop. And the story goes that the gentleman met Maurice once and never saw a photo of him or anything like that afterwards. And he, just on the basis of that memory, was able to produce that bust. And the resemblance to the real Maurice Bishop is so striking. So striking. Yep. So,
amazing.
Right. So we spoke about collaboration between that sculptor and his company, his son, and so on, to train young Grenadians in the art of sculpting. And we are expecting to see some movement on that before too long.
Right.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Wonderful indeed. All right. Well, we can move from there on to your constituency. Of course, recently 2 or 3 weeks ago, you had some major fires out there where 17 persons were displaced. How are things progressing? How are they settling down? What are the responses like from the local and diaspora communities in reaching out to these folks?
Right. So first about the displaced people, all of them have found places to stay. In the immediate aftermath of the fire, which took place on March 26th, government, I contacted the Ministry of Housing as well as the Housing Authority of Grenada, and they made immediately available 6 units at the Villa Housing Complex for the 5 families. Why 6 units for 5 families? One of the families had 8 members, and the units are not particularly big. So we decided that if they chose to accept the accommodation, that we'd have them in adjacent 2 apartment buildings.
Okay.
Of the 5 families, only 3 took up the offer to stay at the villa, and the others have chosen to stay with friends and relatives. But we did make sure that, notwithstanding some of them may have chosen accommodation other than what we offered at the villa, that whatever basics that they needed to resume their lives was made available to them. So we have been trying our best at the government level to take care of the families, the displaced people, as best we can, ensuring that food, they have taken care of their shelter, and other basics are available to them. The response of the people of Chantemelle has been really heartwarming, Terry. From
Fantastic.
attempts to extinguish the fire, to a neighbor concerned that he had not seen a young man who lived in one of the houses, rushing over to call him, and he was asleep.
Wow.
And he was able to escape in time. So that was a level of concern and care that was demonstrated by the villagers.
Fantastic.
And people made available whatever they had to the families. We organized, I took the initiative along with a few other people in the community. We organized a big breakfast and lunch fundraiser on the Saturday after the fire. And again, people came from far and wide to support.
Wow.
People who could not come physically sent donations. People from the diaspora responded.
Fantastic.
And we also established an account at Co-op Bank. I can never remember offhand the account number, but anyone who wishes to donate to that account, you simply have to go into any branch of the Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited and tell them that you want to make a contribution towards the Chantemelle Fire Victims Fund. This fund has been very well supported so far by individuals as well as by corporate entities. Donations, significant cash donations have been made towards the fund, and we urge people to continue giving towards it. We know that when something happens and it's fresh in our mind, we all eager, enthusiastic, and then after a while we get distracted by the normal grind of life or by other emergency situations that arise. But this one is going to require quite a bit of resources to help those families get back onto their feet. So that account, I would call it the official account.
Right.
It is administered by a committee which I, for want of a better word, appointed. That committee is headed by a very respected resident of the community, Miss Faith Phillip, who is the retired principal of Chantemelle School. Miss Solange Laura Logie, another highly respected individual within the community. And by Pastor Richard Alexander, a young man who shepherds one of the Pentecostal churches in the village. Talking about churches, it was really commendable too that 2 of the churches in Chantemelle collaborated to provide a counseling session for the families who are affected by the fire. And the Ministry of Social Services has also taken steps to ensure that the psychosocial health of the victims is looked after. So by and large, the response has been extremely encouraging. People have donated clothes, food, linen, utensils, appliances, beds. And so we're at a stage now where we are saying thank you for everything. But at this point, clothes are no longer needed.
Right.
If somebody has a special connection with a particular family, then that's fine. Or if something is already underway, well,
Right.
yes. But at this point, we think that the best way the families can be helped is by making a financial contribution or an in-kind contribution. A number of companies involved in the supply of construction materials, they have been coming forward to assist with roofing materials, to assist with blocks, with furniture once the houses are back up. So we are quite confident that things are going well. And once we continue to get the support from the general public, both at home and in the diaspora, and with the commitment of government to help the families rebuild, we are confident that sooner rather than later, the people will be back on their feet again. At this stage, I believe that the demolition of the remaining walls has been completed.
Right.
Right. Government, through the Ministry of Mobilization, Implementation and Transformation. Right. So through MIT, we have been able to mobilize the excavator and trucks to cart away the debris. So the government is hard at work ensuring that all the necessary preparations are made as we get ready for the rebuilding phase of that operation.
Okay.
And we are going to make sure that every house has the basic minimum sanitary facilities upon reconstruction, because there'll be no point in building back and not thinking about modern amenities, particularly sanitary facilities and so on. All right. So again, we urge people to come forward and to make your donations to the official account.
Right.
Other people may wish to do otherwise. But we have to make sure that when we have these types of initiatives that we deal with credible people, because unfortunately from time to time you may find others trying to use a tragedy to scam people and things like that. So that is why we made sure that the people that we chose are well respected, well known, not involved in any shenanigans or anything of that nature. So when you donate to that account at Co-op Bank, you can rest assured that your monies will be put to the use that they were intended for.
Are there any known incidents where that is concerned up there?
Well, I do not know of any financial misdeeds, but there appears to be some people who are purporting to be the ones behind the efforts that are taking place. And so we have to be very, very careful that we do not fall into any little trap. Okay? Talking about assistance, there are people too who have been giving cash to the committee with the express condition that it be disbursed to the families.
Right.
Yep. So in such a case, we have a system in place where the money is received. There's a careful note made of it with the necessary receipts and stuff like that.
Right.
And then the recipients, they get it and they sign acknowledging the amount that they have received, the date, time, and so on. So everything is totally above board in that regard, you know.
Well, congratulations on your sterling efforts out there to ensure that, you know, the people of Chantemelle who suffered the loss as a result of the fires, that you have been on top of things, and the party and government has been helping to ensure for the comfort. What we'll do now, we'll just take a short break and we'll be back in just under a minute. So back with you in a second.
Staff and the students of the Blessed Sacrament Roman Catholic School in Grandance are celebrating the generosity of a kind-hearted donor who recently made a significant contribution to the institution. Abigail McIntyre has the details in this report.
Dr. Jacint Gale, currently residing in the United States, visited the school on Monday, accompanied by Ambassador Terence Forrester, head of the Office of Diaspora Affairs, as part of the Adopt a School program. During the visit, Dr. Gale and Ambassador Forrester officially presented a range of valuable learning materials to the school, which are already being utilized by the students. The donation includes educational resources, food items, and technological equipment. Henva Simeon, principal of the Blessed Sacrament RC School, expressed deep gratitude on behalf of the faculty and students for the generous donation. She emphasized the significant impact these resources will have on enhancing the learning experience for all students.
She would have given us some school supplies and stationery, puzzles, reading games, cards, things that the children can use in their classes, things that the teachers are also using with the children to enhance our academic program at the school. In addition, she would have given us a Bluetooth speaker, a mini projector, other resources that we can use within our school. And for these, we are truly thankful and appreciative for the gift. She would have provided us, in addition, with some items that we can use to give to the students for breakfast. So we would have gotten some nutritious breakfast bars, which we were given to the students. We would have given those to the students prior, and we are thankful. So Dr. Gale is helping to provide for the all-round development of our students, of course, through the Office of the Diaspora.
Dr. Gale, who is also involved in upgrading the school's library, reiterated her belief in the importance of investing in education and supporting the development of young minds. She commended the government of Grenada and the Office of Diaspora Affairs for their leadership in implementing the Adopt a School program, which provides individuals like herself with the opportunity to give back to their communities.
To the students, you are at the heart of this program, and I want you to know that your success is what motivates us all. Education is the key to unlocking your potential and opening doors to your dreams. Remember to work hard, stay curious, and always believe in yourselves. As a supporter of this program, my goal is to contribute to your school's success in any way I can, whether it's through providing resources, offering guidance, or supporting initiatives that enhance your learning experience. I'm here to help. Together, we can make a real difference in the lives of students and in the future of this community. I encourage everyone to continue working together, supporting one another, and striving for excellence.
Ambassador Terence Forrester highlighting the success of the Adopt a School initiative launched over a year ago.
Welcome back to all our listeners and viewers of the NDC Heartbeat podcast. In studio with us is the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Honorable Joseph Handel. So we were finishing off on the conversation with respect to all the activities, the efforts, and so forth with the St. Patrick fire. Where are we moving on from here?
Okay, so as I mentioned, for all of last week, we had the excavator clearing up the site.
Right.
And the trucks carting away the debris. So as soon as I am finished with this program, I am having a meeting with a gentleman from Mr. Leslie Barry of Barry's Engineering, who is a Chantimel boy.
Okay.
And we will be having discussions when I'm through here as to the next step regarding the measurement of the site, the design or proposed design for the homes that will be rebuilt. And I just want to add here that nothing will be done from the top down. The people who are affected will be consulted throughout the process.
Okay.
So that it won't be a case of the committee deciding or ANDAL deciding this is what we're going to do for them. They are going to have the opportunity to make their input.
Participatory democracy.
Yes, of course, we will have to be conscious of budgetary constraints and so on.
Naturally.
Because, in the normal scheme of things, if you lose your home, the responsibility falls on you. But this catastrophic situation, we could not have taken a hands-off approach. It was a humanitarian catastrophe. And so we thought it was important that we step in to assist in whatever way possible.
Wonderful. Well, the constituents of St. Patrick West continues to share praise and thanks for your leadership in this matter. How are things in your constituency after the fire or even before the fire?
Well, first of all, I don't think that I deserve praise or anything for that. I mean,
it's coming through.
When you sign up for a job, there are certain things that go with the territory. And whatever is being done could not have been done without the residents of the community and the hundreds of people outside of Chantimel, including the diaspora, who have stepped forward to donate their time, their materials, their cash, and so on. So it's been a collaborative effort. Of course, I took the initiative to try to pull people together and put that committee together, but without others, nothing will be done.
Well, leadership was at play.
Well, thank you. Right.
Indeed. Yeah. How are things in your constituency now?
Good. So we have been able to achieve a number of things over the past 18 or 20 months or so. We have been able to do some infrastructural work in a number of villages, in Marley, in Prospect, in Darby. In fact, in Darby, we have been able to do something that has really made a qualitative difference in that village. That is the lighting of the beach. It's a very beautiful beach.
Yep.
Secluded.
And in there.
A lot of people don't know about it.
Once it gets dark, you better take off.
Right. But since the installation of the lights there late last year, people have been able to go there and stay for hours after the sunset. There has been quite a noticeable uptick in economic activities.
Fantastic.
In the area there. And I think the residents, they pointed out to me one little section that needs one more light. So I'll be working with Grenlec and
put in one more light.
Yes, but I was there a couple nights ago, and some people might not be happy about a light going there for whatever reasons. But I think it's important that we do that on that section there.
Great.
Right. I have been in touch with the Minister responsible for fisheries, as well as the Permanent Secretary, Mr. Bagwan. And we propose to do a site visit because there's a small fisheries facility on that beach. So we propose to do a site visit and to look at questions of management of the facility, upkeep of the facility, accessibility to, for the fisher folk, regarding the lockers and so on.
Right.
The toilets, sanitary conditions and things like that. So security, because over the years, from time to time, fisherfolk would lose an engine or two. So we want to take a comprehensive look at it.
Great.
Yep. Recently, we also had some binders put on the road there. And although that is not the best solution, you know,
Still
things
fill the holes.
things take time, and we have to do some of them incrementally, considering that we have other things to do.
Fantastic.
A couple of weeks ago, we had a very important public consultation in Moncraven at the Community Center in Four, where the representatives of Smith Warner, that is the company that is contracted to do the design for the corrective work from the fallout of the Breakwater project. A very well attended public forum. Minister
Right.
Cornwall was there. I was there. Minister Karen James, and the consultant who is doing the environmental and social impact assessment was also there. Chief Technical Officer.
Right.
The suggested designs were shown to the residents. People were given the opportunity to make their comments, to have their input and so on.
Right.
And we will be going back to the community again, especially after the ESIA is completed. And then, well, I shouldn't say and then, but concurrently, we are also in dialogue with the Caribbean Development Bank
Right.
for funding to execute the project. So while we understand that there is a cry for urgent action, and we agree to, we still have to be careful that we do not repeat the mistake that was made originally by rushing into the project without taking into consideration
studies,
possible ramifications down the road.
Yeah.
So there's an old saying that it's better to measure twice and cut once.
Yep.
Yep. So
Absolutely.
Yep. So we are actively working on that, and also looking at temporary measures to alleviate the situation there.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Great. Well, things are happening out in St. Patrick
Yes,
West.
a few things are happening. I do not want to let the cat out of the bag yet, but I anticipate that in the coming weeks we'll be making a significant acquisition of a particular property that can change the cultural and economic landscape of Sauteurs and its environs.
Wonderful.
We have been working on the regular little infrastructure projects with retaining walls, drains, resurfacing of the roads in different areas and so on.
Right.
So while there's still a lot to be done, I think that we have been able to accomplish a few things. One of them being the reintroduction of the Camahorn Folk Festival.
Oh,
We also recently had a very successful month of celebrations for our independence, invoking and reviving quite a number of the things that had started to disappear.
great.
Right. Consultations and throughout the communities, those continue. So just prior to the Moncraven consultation, Minister Cornwall and I, we held one at the Hermitage Government School with the residents of both St. Patrick East and West in the village of Hermitage.
Great.
And we will be continuing to be on the ground with the people in a structured and organized way.
Fantastic.
We will be paying some attention to the playing fields in my constituency.
Right.
We have plans in place for the one at Snell Hall. Currently, there is no water there. There is no electricity there. We're actively working on it. And those initiatives, Terry, they didn't just come about out of thin air.
I was just about going to ask you, what was happening before?
Right. And they didn't just come about because Andal woke up one day and figured, hey, let's do this. But it came about out of consultation with the people. So we had a village meeting in Snell Hall where the residents of all ages came out and expressed their concerns and came up with the things that they would like to see done.
Right.
And, they said to me that this is the first time that they have seen a representative come to them outside of election season to discuss things with them and to hear their views.
Wonderful.
The same thing happened in Red Mud. And we plan to take that throughout the length and breadth of the constituency. And that won't be a one-off, but it's going to be an ongoing feature of the type of representation that I wish to bring to my constituency.
Very refreshing.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Of course, there is always room for improvement, and there is only one of me, so I could only be one place at any given point in time, but it is my commitment to touch base with every single village throughout the course of the year, and to do so repeatedly.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well. You certainly have a tough, shoe to fill.
Yes, but
Now,
it's got to be done.
Absolutely. Just a short while ago, we ran an ad, not an ad, but a video which the GIS did, which relates to a major donation made to the Blessed Sacrament RC School in Grand Anse by Dr. Gale. And I just want us just to discuss this a little bit because it relates to your ministry.
That is.
Diaspora Affairs falls under Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Talking about the adopter school?
The adopter school and the mentorship program.
Yeah.
And just to say that is progressing well. And the idea is to get Grenadians out in the diaspora, but we can also have Grenadians locally to engage with a school in Grenada. There are over 300 schools in Grenada. And certainly we can get at least one Grenadian to commit to one school throughout the length and breadth of Grenada, Carriacou, Petit Martinique, to work with the principals in providing some form of assistance. Your thoughts on this?
Well, Terry, I know that you don't like to blow your own trumpet.
No.
And I'm not a musician, but I'll blow it for you today, right? Yeah, folks, this is an initiative of Ambassador Terry Forrester, Ambassador for Diaspora Affairs. And Terry, I again wish to commend you publicly for being the resourceful person that we have always known you to be. But I think now you're having the latitude to show that when conditions are right, what you can do and what you can achieve. And we know that you have been working tirelessly. You have been making contacts. In fact, even before I go to my next meeting, there is a possibility that you and I may be having a three-way conversation with a very resourceful person that you have linked up with.
Yes.
And the Adopt a School program is an extremely important and timely one. We're moving into the era, well, not moving into the era of technology, we're already there. And it is important that we equip our schools and our children with everything that is necessary for them to stay abreast of what's taking place, technologically speaking, in the educational field. And being aware of what needs to be done is one thing, but having the wherewithal to execute is another. And that is where that program, the Adopt a School and Mentorship program, comes in extremely handy, because you are linking up with people, some of them high net worth, some of them ordinary people, but with a passion to serve in one way or the other. And they have been stepping forward. And I'm quite confident that the goal of having each school paired with a benefactor, and I believe that the benefactor doesn't necessarily have to be Grenadian, they can be other. There are many people out there, when we go out, some of them, they have studied in Grenada, some of them, they have worked with Grenadians, or studied with Grenadians, and have fallen in love with our country, and wish to lend a hand in some form or the other. So it's a very commendable initiative, and it's bearing fruit. And I know that it can only grow from strength to strength under your leadership.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Minister. You know, I'm not one to receive praise, but I thank you for your commendation. It is now 1 o'clock, so let me say goodbye to those who are listening on radio via WeFM, Vibes FM, Spice Capital Radio. And we'll continue for another 5-6 minutes or so. So thank you all, for those who are on radio, that is. Thank you for joining the Heartbeat today. And please feel free to join us online through the NDC Facebook platform. We also have Ride Along, and we have out of Grenville, Labe FM 100.5. So join us on those feed as we continue chatting with Minister responsible for Foreign Affairs, Trade and Export Development, the Honorable Joseph Andel. So, Minister, on that score, we also are pursuing the initiative of the ensuring that students who are in need of psychosocial, issues and so forth, who are in need of these things, that we also look to try to provide that kind of assistance via technically sound personnel locally and outside of Grenada who are willing to assist young students. So that's another area that is receiving our attention.
Yeah, that is extremely vital, because very often we think only about the physical things, the tangible things, and we forget the psychosocial aspect of things. We hear complaints from time to time about what people may consider deviant behavior or antisocial behavior. And those things, they have to be addressed in a multi-pronged way. So yes, economic factors do come into play, but the psychological,
very important,
extremely important. How do we prepare our young people to deal with conflicts that will inevitably arise? Because wherever you have human interaction, there will be disagreements. But how do we handle it? And it is important that we provide the type of mentorship, the type of examples that the young people can benefit from in terms of how they go about in their daily interactions with one another,
Well, a professional Grenadian in this field of mentorship, Dr. Gray, and she was in Grenada not too long ago, providing mentorship to families and married couples and so forth. She has agreed to undertake that responsibility to assist schools online who may experience deviant behavior of young students and so forth. So she is joining in the counseling aspect of providing that kind of support and assistance through the mentorship program. So if we can build capacity at that level with young students, I think the future would look even brighter for us young people.
Yeah, definitely. And though probably not directly related, when we talk about deviant behavior, so-called deviant behavior in young people, I think it highlights, or it ought to highlight to us even more forcefully, the need for us to modify our approach to education. Because many a time, Terry, we put children in the so-called normal classroom, and then we turn around and brand them that they're slow or that they're deficient and so on, when maybe all that is happening is that we have not yet been able to identify the areas of talent and interest.
That's right.
Good? So we have to change the concept of what we consider to be education or an educated person. There are people, brilliant mathematicians, physicists, and so on, who don't know which end of a cutlass to hold. After Hurricane Ivan, a different set of skills came into play.
Absolutely.
And you, with all of your theoretical knowledge and so on, were dependent on somebody who could go up to the roof and hook up the tarpaulin for you. So we have to keep emphasizing skills, education, and not to see it as something where you're thrown into because you are not bright enough for the academic field. Every one of them has its place
Absolutely.
in a modern society. Everyone.
Very much so.
But we have to move away from the situation where you have a surplus of psychology majors, a surplus of management of business majors, and you cannot find a plumber,
Yep.
or you cannot find an engineer, or you cannot find sometimes a doctor or a nurse. So once we could take that all-inclusive, comprehensive approach towards education, some of the social problems that we are experiencing will automatically go away. Because when people are gainfully engaged, they don't have time to get into nonsense,
Exactly.
right? Do you think that that as a group, that lawyers are naturally predisposed towards not pulling a knife? No. Or that teachers,
humans.
yeah, we are all humans. We come from the same gene pool.
Yep.
What makes the difference is the level of exposure we have had to a particular type of education or lifestyle or culture.
Experience.
All right? And when you look at it, the longer people stay in school, the less likely they are to get involved in so-called deviant behavior. The greater the earning power,
Yep.
and the greater the standard of living consequently. So we have to make sure that we provide the avenues for those who may not be academically inclined to find a niche and to excel at it, and that will consequently lead not to a total elimination, but to a drastic reduction in the types of problems that we face. Because if we take only a theoretical approach towards it, we might be producing beautiful academic papers and so on, but the problem and its root causes
Maybe
will continue to stay with us.
producing paper tigers. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is why it's important that we have our professionals, both Grenadians and non-Grenadians, who are out there that we are seeking to attract to provide this sort of clinical assistance to young students
Right.
and to work along with teachers, principals, and so forth. So we start grooming and growing strong societies,
Yeah.
young individuals who will take their place in society once they grow up. So what we're going to do is to take a short break. There was an ad, tourism ad, which shows Grenada top of the class with respect to destinations. We share this with you, and back in a moment.
Okay, what about for the Bahamas?
For the Bahamas, obviously I understand the allure, kind of nonstop flights. So for the Bahamas, as a dupe, I recommend Grenada. Right now we have nonstop flights from Atlanta, Miami, and New York. And what I love about Grenada is that it has a beautiful, awesome kind of mix between the African, European, and Caribbean culture. So again, where Bahamas can feel a little bit more commercialized, like big, kind of big box hotels, here you're going to find amazing waterfalls, rich green rainforest. I love the marine sculpture park, which is indeed one of the highlights there. It's absolutely gorgeous. You can snorkel or dive to it, and it's beautiful. In the rainforest, you can also do these beautiful hikes where you get to these gorgeous waterfalls with gigantic pools where you can kind of like just dive into. So much more of a rich culture, a lot of great restaurants outside of the infrastructure of hotels. And so that's why I recommend Grenada in place of Nassau.
Pleasant good afternoon to everyone. The NDC St. Andrews Southeast Branch is hosting a fundraising activity on Friday, 26th April from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. We're having an after-work lime. On sale will be managed waters and delicious juicy barbecue chicken and a solid cold bar. We invite you to come on out. We are located on Canal Road, Grenville, just outside the Ariza Credit Union building. We look forward to your support. See you there.
Welcome back to all of you who are listening to the NDC Heartbeat podcast this beautiful Sunday afternoon. And in studio is the Honorable Joseph Handel. We've been chatting about several matters. Minister, we have gone beyond by 10 minutes. Of course, we now online fully. So let me invite you, therefore, to share your closing remarks.
Yes, so I just want to say once again, thank you for having me on this program. We always have a good time here. Thank you to those who tuned in. And just a reminder that one of the big things that we're focusing on at the St. Patrick West level is the fire victims and trying to ensure that we get them back on their feet as soon as possible. So I urge everyone to continue to support them financially and in any other way by making a donation to the
approved account
to the official account at the Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited. If you live abroad, you can find out there's a flyer in circulation which I think you should be able to access to get the SWIFT code and so on. All right. So thank you very much. And again, we were able to talk extensively about our recent trip to Cuba and the MOUs that were signed and how Grenada is going to get benefits from those. One last thing I'd like to talk about is to invite everyone, the usual patrons, and if there is space for new ones. Terry, I think you went last year.
I think so.
To
I think so.
The best cruise.
Yes.
The best cruise. The NDC,
your national cruise.
Yes, the NDC St. Patrick East and West Rum Cruise. This year it takes place on Saturday, June 8th. Saturday, June 8th. Tickets cost $70, and that's EC. $70 EC, Saturday, June 8th.
Right.
The tickets are already printed, so during the course of this week, they will be distributed. This year, we're doing it slightly differently in terms of the distribution, in that we are going to be having tickets in specific locations where you go and you purchase a ticket. Because what happens sometimes is that people take 5 or 10 tickets, and then on the last minute, their friends don't show up, and we are stuck with tickets on our hands that we could have sold otherwise. So we are trying a modified approach this time, where particularly in the St. Patrick area, people will be directed to specific locations where they can go, and you pay for your ticket, you collect it, so that we don't have any headaches on the night of the cruise, scrambling to sell an extra 20 tickets that were returned and so on. Yeah. So once again, thank you to everyone for your continued support. Continue to listen to the Heartbeat. Terry, congratulations on all that you have been doing so far.
Thank you.
And let us just put our efforts together. Stay focused. Stay positive. Do not be distracted by the noise out there. You go, when you go out into the forest, there is a type of animal called a hyena that specializes in making noise in the lion's head to confuse them. So the lion makes a catch, and the hyena comes out with all kinds of noise. Lion gets confused, drops it, and the hyena just comes, picks it up. So let us not be distracted by loud noises. Once you stay focused on your goal, first of all, you have your goal, you get your path that would get you to it, you stay focused, you do the things that you need to do, then no amount of noise can stop you from achieving it. And that is not just in politics, but in every aspect of life.
Absolutely.
Set your goal, define your path, stay focused, and you'll be there.
Very, very wonderful closing indeed.
All right.
Thank you very much, Minister. It was a pleasure indeed.
Same here.
Minister, the Honorable Joseph Handel, Minister responsible for Foreign Affairs, Trade and Export Development. It was a pleasure. Thank you all for joining the Heartbeat today, and join us again next Sunday when we'll have more interesting conversations for your edification. Thank you, and until next week, goodbye.